The small town of Nowhereville was shaken to its core on a day that started like any other. Behind the facade of normalcy, a horrifying truth was about to unravel. News spread like wildfire. 2 young black children, barely clinging to fucking life, had been found locked in a damn shed. Their adoptive parents, KKK Donald Ray Lantz and KKK Jeanne K. Whitefeather Shocker, a seemingly ordinary white Karen couple, were immediately apprehended.
The children, terrified and bearing the scars of unimaginable abuse, like some damn slaves, were whisked away to the safety of medical care. Their home, a dim contrast to the loving environment every child deserves, painted a grim picture of some shit out of 1800s. The air was thick with the stench of black neglect. Like the old days of slavery, the real world that we know, or as we thought, was forever forgotten. The children's living conditions were deplorable, unfit for even an animal or dog for that matter.
This discovery sent shockwaves through the community and beyond, raising questions about how such horrors could unfold unnoticed right under their noses. Eyebrows should have been raised, or where the fuck was CPS, as it seems they come to the ghetto all the time to take black kids from their parents for smacking their kids once. This case, however, carries a weight far heavier than the average child abuse case. It's a stark reminder of the deeply rooted racial disparities that continue to plague our society. But only us black folks know that this shit still goes on every day. The children's story, still unfolding, is a chilling testament to the enduring legacy of racial bias. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable reality that race, even in the 21st century, can determine the trajectory of a child's life, especially those of color in this new world. The contrasting images of the victims and the accused are difficult to ignore. Innocent black children subjected to unimaginable cruelty at the hands of their white adoptive KKK parents. The nation held its breath, grappling with the magnitude of the alleged crimes. This was not just a case of child abuse. It was a blatant violation of human rights, a disgraceful manifestation of racial prejudice. The case of KKK Donald Ray Lantz and Mrs. KKK Jeanne K. Whitefeather quickly became a lightning rod, igniting a national conversation about race, privilege, and the systemic failures that allow such injustices to occur. The list of charges against Lantz and Whitefeather is as lengthy as it is horrifying.
They stand accused of civil rights violations, a charge that underscores the racially motivated nature of their alleged crimes.
The accusation of human trafficking paints a picture of unspeakable exploitation, of children treated as commodities rather than human beings.
Forced labor, another charge levied against the couple, speaks to the complete disregard for the children's well-being, their youth stolen to serve the selfish interests of their captors.
The charge of gross child neglect further illustrates the depths of their cruelty, the utter lack of empathy for the vulnerable lives entrusted to their care.
And as if these charges weren't damning enough, Lantz and Whitefeather are also accused of falsifying an application for a public defender, a desperate attempt to evade the consequences of their actions and add another layer of deception to their already egregious alleged crimes. The severity of these charges reflects the gravity of the situation, the utter depravity of the acts perpetrated against innocent children. Each charge represents a violation, a stripping away of the children's fundamental rights.
The inclusion of civil rights violations is particularly significant.
It acknowledges the role that race played in this horrific saga, highlighting the vulnerability of black children in a system that often fails to protect them. The charges taken together paint a picture of calculated cruelty, of a system that allowed such abuse to persist.
The case of Lantz and Whitefeather is a stark reminder of the work that remains to be done in the fight for racial justice, a fight that extends to the most vulnerable members of our society.
As the investigation unfolded, a ray of hope emerged from the darkness, but hopefully God will prevail and these assholes will be put under the jail. The surviving children, now in protective custody, began the long and arduous journey of healing from the KKK members' straight up bullshit ass tactics. Their resilience, their will to survive despite enduring the unimaginable, was a testament to the strength of the black human spirit. Some shit the poor blacks have been enduring since the French took over Africa. Yeah, I said it, motherfuckers. Yet, even as the children began to heal, the investigation into their ordeal took a perplexing turn. Here comes Whitey with some more bullshit. Not all white people are bad, just like other races, or not bad either. I'm just saying, stop trying to act like it doesn't exist anymore. Shit pisses me off. The defense, in a move that shocked many, proclaimed the innocence of Lantz and Whitefeather, painting them as victims of circumstance. How the fuck do they come up with this bullshit all the motherfucking time? So of course they argued that the children's injuries were self-inflicted, wink, wink, a result of pre-existing conditions rather than abuse. Karen's been lying since day one. I was blind, but now I see how a monkey like you made a fool out of me. Their claims, however, were met with skepticism by the prosecution and the public alike. Because ain't nobody buying this bullshit in 2024. Come on, cuz.
Contradictions emerged, casting a long shadow of doubt over the defense's narrative. Medical examinations contradicted the claims of self-inflicted injuries, revealing a pattern of abuse consistent with prolonged captivity.
The children's accounts, though fragmented and often difficult to articulate, pointed towards a consistent narrative of cruelty and neglect. And let me guess, the kids are lying. Yeah, right, Karen's. See, the defense's attempts to discredit the children's experiences, to paint them as unreliable narrators of their own trauma, only fueled public outrage. Like Emmett Louis Till, July 25, 1941, August 28, 1955, was an African-American teenage boy who was abducted, tortured, and lynched in Mississippi in 1955. And now recently the bitch confessed she lied, but was too old to go to jail. The courtroom became a battleground for truth and justice, a space where the voices of the marginalized struggled to be heard. Beyond the harrowing details of the abuse, the case of Lantz and Whitefeather exposed a deeply troubling reality: the systemic failures that allowed such atrocities to occur. Fuck, I'll say it to black kids.
The financial background of the couple, their ability to navigate the legal and social services systems, raised uncomfortable questions about privilege and access.
How did their alleged crimes go unnoticed for so long? Let's think about this question, which is apparently an understatement. Were warning signs ignored, dismissed, or simply missed? You can't miss anything that is not checked on.
The U.S. magistrate judge's ruling, a scathing indictment of the child welfare system, provided some answers. The judge pointed to a system overwhelmed, underfunded, and ill-equipped to protect the most vulnerable.
A lack of oversight, inadequate training, and a failure to address implicit biases were just some of the systemic issues brought to light.
The case of Lantz and Whitefeather became a symbol of a system in crisis, a system where children, particularly black children, are often denied the protection they deserve. The financial resources at the couple's disposal, resources often out of reach for marginalized communities, allowed them to maintain a facade of normalcy, masking the horrors that unfolded behind closed doors. Plainly put, they had old white folk money.
This case exposed the cracks in the system, the vulnerabilities that allow abuse to fester in the shadows.
It underscored the urgent need for reform, for a system that prioritizes the safety and well-being of all children, regardless of race or socioeconomic background. The children in this case paid a heavy price for these systemic failures, their innocence stolen, their lives forever altered by the trauma they endured. As the trial date approaches, a sense of anticipation hangs heavy in the air. If these fools don't get a big fat smack to VIP City, I'm gonna be pissed off my mamas. The outcome of this case has the potential to be a watershed moment, setting a precedent for how our justice system addresses cases of child abuse, particularly those with clear racial implications.
The nation will be watching, holding its breath as the legal proceedings unfold. This trial is about more than just determining the guilt or innocence of two individuals. It's about holding a mirror up to our society, forcing us to confront the uncomfortable truths reflected back at us. The trial of Donald Ray Lantz and Jeanne Whitefeather is an opportunity for our justice system to prove its commitment to equality, to demonstrate that the lives of Black children matter.
A guilty verdict, while offering a sense of accountability, will not erase the horrors these children endured. However, it can serve as a catalyst for change, a call to action for comprehensive reform within our child welfare system. Sure, buddy, it will not trying to be negative, but someone new in that town. Shout to the neighbors to whom reported it as human beings without color lines.
This trial holds the potential to be a turning point in the fight for child welfare reform and racial justice. It's a stark reminder that we, as a society, have a moral imperative to protect the most vulnerable among us, to ensure that no child endures the horrors inflicted upon these innocent souls.
The eyes of the nation are watching, hoping for a verdict that delivers justice and sparks the systemic change so desperately needed. But we all know it may be a shocker, hopefully not. God bless everyone, and please subscribe for more stories from Boniac to Maniac. And I also love all races. Just can't wait for 30 more years when we are all past these old-timey ways of thinking. Love you all from the heart. Well, most of you motherfuckers.